Lesson 1, simplifying fractions. I can write fractions in simplest form. First, some key vocab words. Simplest form is a fraction where the numerator and denominator are as small as possible. So you can see in this image, we have a rectangle split into 4 slices, so that becomes our denominator, and 2 of them have been shaded in, which gives us our numerator of 2/4. Now we have another rectangle that's as long as the first rectangle is. However, this rectangle is only put into 2 slices, so there's the denominator, and only 1 piece is shaded in. However, if you compare the 2 pieces, it's the exact same amount. So if that was a candy bar, if you got 2 out of the 4 pieces of this one, it'd be the same as getting 1 out of the 2 pieces of this one. So what we say is that 2/4 equals 1/2. These are what we call equivalent fractions. Fractions that represent the same value but look different. And 1/2 would be that simplest form because the numbers are as small as possible. Now we have a couple more key vocab words. Factors are numbers that multiply to make a product. So 2 times 4 equals 8. 2 would be a factor and 4 would be a factor because they multiply to make 8, which is your product. Product is just the answer to a multiplication problem. So then we have this thing called a GCF, which is your greatest common factor, which makes sense in an example. So we're going to talk about it in an example. So we want to list off factors of 16, numbers that multiply to 16. So I'm just going to start off with the first one, which is 1 times 16. That makes 16. The next one I can think of is 2 times 8. And then the last one would be 4 times 4. Now the next number we have is 30. So again, we can start off with 1 times 30. I know 30 is even, so I can say 2 times 15 is going to give me 30. Another one would be 3 times 10. And that last one, now if we ever get stuck, we can always use our multiplication table. So if we look in our multiplication table, we should see the number 30 a couple different times. So you can see the number 30 here, number 30 here, here, here. So it can help us with our factors. So 30 is 3 times 10. We already got that one. But then that last one would be 5 times 6, also gives us 30. So 5 times 6 would be that last one. Now the greatest common factor of 16 and 30 would be the greatest number that they share in common. So we want to look at our 2 lists and circle the numbers they have in common. They both share a 1. 16 and 30 they don't share, but they do share 2. 8, I don't see 8 in the 30 row. I don't see 15 in the 16 row. There's no 4s in the 30 row, and that leaves us with none of these matching up. So if you can see, they share a 1 and they share a 2, which means their greatest common factor is 2. That's the greatest factor they have in common. So now we're going to use the greatest common factor to help us simplify fractions. So we want to simplify this fraction 14 over 35. So the first step is to find the greatest common factor of the numerator 14 and the denominator 35. What I'm going to do is I'll always start with 1 times the number. And then I also know 14 is even, so I'm going to do 2 times 7. That's all the factors it has, the only pairs that multiply to make 14. 35 is 1 times 35 and 5 times 7. So then I'm going to circle the numbers they have in common. They have in common 1. They don't have in common 14 or 35 or 2 or 5, but they do also share 7. So their greatest common factor is 7. Now The next step to simplify the fraction is to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor. So we're going to do 14 divided by 7 and 35 divided by 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 35 divided by 7 is 5. So 14 over 35 simplifies to 2/5. One last example here for you guys. Again, we're going to simplify the fraction 18 over 27. So the first thing we're going to do is find that greatest common factor. 18, we have 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and also 3 times 6. Again, if you need that multiplication table, feel free to use it. You can find those 18s and use it to help you find your factors. Next, we have 27. So 1 times 27 and 3 times 9. We actually don't need that last blank because there's no other factors for 27. So we have to circle the ones they have in common. They share a 1. They don't share 18 or 27. They don't share 2. They share 3. And they also share 9. They don't share 6. So out of the ones that they share, 1, 3, and 9, 9 is the largest, so that's the greatest common factor. So then we're going to use that to simplify. So remember, we divide our fraction by the greatest common factor. So we divide 18 by 9, and we divide 27 by 9. 18 divided by 9 is 2, and 27 divided by 9 is 3. So that fraction simplifies to 2/3. That's all the video I have for you today, so go ahead and move into your practice.